Stern has become such a wussified sycophant, he doesn't realize that telling Kamala that he'd vote for a wall is telling her that he knows she's as dumb as one. I mean, not to mention, Trump is the wall candidate, not Cackle's McKnee pads. Stern got even more pathetic, wondering how she doesn't nap.
That brings me to Howard Stern and his interview of Kamala Harris, where he put the cards on the table about how he was feeling, in particular about her latest media tour, which did not include Saturday Night Live, but she was lampooned on it a little. A lampoon may be too strong, but she was mocked, as they usually do, just to Republicans. Take a listen.
Greg Gutfeld and Megyn Kelly just torched Howard Stern's once legendary image like a bonfire fueled by truth and payback. With Greg's razor-sharp sarcasm and Megyn's precise, ice-cold logic, they ripped through the myth of radio's rebel king, exposing a man who's gone from fearless shock jock to pampered, approval-chasing celebrity. Once the firebrand who mocked everything sacred, Stern now feels like a museum piece wrapped in self-help slogans. What used to be raw rebellion has melted into polite applause. This wasn't a roast. It was a full-scale demolition of an empire built on chaos. No mic was spared, no illusion left standing. And if you crave more fearless breakdowns like this one, smash that like button and subscribe. It keeps the fire blazing.
This is what keeps me up at night. I don't understand how my fellow Americans, I don't even understand how this election is close. And yes, I'm voting for you, but I would also vote for that wall over there. When you said you don't nap, I get it, because like what you've taken on is extraordinarily difficult. And I mean, do you feel the pressure of the moment in the sense that, like, when I met you out in the hall, I said, I'm really nervous because I want this to go well for you. I want it to go well for the country. Even when I watch them on Saturday Night Live with the, where they have Maya Rudolph playing you, I hate it. I don't want you being made fun of.
Greg Gutfeld walked on set with that sly grin that always means trouble's coming. But this time, it wasn't politicians or celebrity meltdowns in his sights. It was Howard Stern himself. The self-proclaimed king of all media, the man who once made the FCC break into a cold sweat, was about to be dragged through Tom by the very rebel energy he's long forgotten. Greg didn't just roast Stern, he unearthed him. He dusted off the old chaos, held it up to the new, polished version, and asked, what happened to the guy who made the world uncomfortable? The answer hit harder than a punchline. Stern didn't evolve, he evaporated.
Period, while listening to it. You should hear what keeps him up at night.
Greg kicked things off by marveling at Stern's shocking transformation from the raw-mouthed rebel of radio to a Botoxed, bathrobe-wrapped version of an NPR host preaching mindfulness. He joked that watching Stern today feels like discovering your favorite punk rockin' now runs a spa in the Hamptons, serving organic tea and lectures on inner peace. Greg reminded everyone that the old Stern mocked everything: politicians, celebrities, political correctness. Nothing was safe. But now, that wild flame's a flicker. The rebel radio icon has turned into the guy apologizing for the very jokes that built his fame.
She also appeared on Howard Stern, where he said he'd even vote for a wall over Trump. Harris replied, I'm not a wall, but I am plastered.
Now he's sipping green juice and apologizing for every outrageous bit that made him famous. Greg didn't hold back. He said Stern didn't just sell out, he sold everything. The booth, the mic, the headphones, and maybe even his backbone. He compared old Stern to a wrecking ball, and new Stern to a choreographed dancer who checks with legal before swinging. Greg laughed, saying Stern now preaches tolerance and emotional growth while pretending decades of chaos never happened. The rebel once proud of being banned now sounds like he's begging to be booked.
But it is incredibly brave to take this stance after you've made $300, $400 million not being woke. right? Loving Donald Trump, exploiting the mentally ill, wearing blackface. Look at the crop of woke comics, whether it's Stern or Jimmy Kimmel, his BFF, Sarah Silverman, Joy Behar, Michael Ian Black. What do they all have in common? They wore blackface. And then they went woke. It's not a chicken or egg thing there. You know what order it came.
Greg dove headfirst into the hypocrisy. He said Stern spent years branding himself as the fearless voice of truth, raw, real, unfiltered. But once those Sirius XM checks cleared and the celebrity invites started rolling in, everything changed. The rebel turned elite. The man who mocked fame became addicted to it. Greg said Stern went from punk rock to polished PR faster than you could blink. Slopping rebellion for reputation and edge for ego. The king of shock became the court jester of Hollywood, smiling, safe, and painfully self-aware.
Bologna slices at strippers' butts. With accuracy, I might add. Now he's worried the possible leader of the free world can't handle his verbal foot rub. I wonder if he used to get this nervous for the strippers before he'd spank them on their bare asses with a dead fish.
Greg tore into Stern's Hollywood makeover, saying the man once allergic to phoniness now pampers A-listers like a 5-star concierge. What used to be raw radio is now a glossy PR lounge where detectives drop by to be worshipped, not roasted. Greg painted Stern's studio as a haunted mansion, dim lights, fading relevance, and echoes of what used to be dangerous. Howard didn't age, Greg said. He fossilized. The firebrand turned wax figure, preserved by nostalgia and too much hair dye. Even his fans changed. The ones who lived through the wild 90s must need divine patience to survive his mellow monologues now. Then, just as the laughter settled, Greg handed the mic to Megyn Kelly, the calm before the next storm.
Okay, I hope you had a good week. I did, and no thanks to Howard Stern. True, the New York Post reported that Stern hit a chic restaurant in NYC with a crew of A-listers, including Jimmy Kimmel, Jennifer Aniston, Jon Hamm, Justin Theroux, Jason Bateman. I was not invited. I guess because my first name doesn't begin with the letter J.
Megyn stepped in with icy precision. Stern's fall from rebel to relic, she said, wasn't shocking, it was inevitable. Rebellion without conviction always collapses into compromise, she declared. Howard Stern proved it. He wasn't brave, he was loud. And when outrage stopped paying, he stopped being outrageous. His so-called growth wasn't evolution, it was survival. A desperate grasp at elite approval while betraying the audience that built him. The new Stern doesn't sell honesty, he sells comfort. His interviews feel like therapy sessions dipped in fake enlightenment. Megyn called it revisionism, not redemption, a rewrite of history in highlighter and denial.
There's too much at stake. I believe the entire future of this country right now, I mean, as America, land of the free, home of the brave, I think it's literally on the line.
I agree with you.
And when I see them, how did you react to this Saturday Night Live bit?
Here's Stern on anyone daring to poke a little fun at Kamala.
Even when I watch them on Saturday Night Live with the where they have Maya Rudolph playing you, I hate it. I don't want you being made fun of.
Oh my God.
There's too much at stake. I believe the entire future of this country right now, I mean, as America, land of the free, home of the brave, I think it's literally on the line.
So a guy who's supposed to be funny for a living now claims her candidacy is too important to joke about.
Megyn went straight for the irony. The man who once fought censorship now hides behind political correctness like it's a shield. He didn't just join the establishment, she said. He got swallowed by it. The roaring lion turned into a declawed house cat purring for validation. She called out the double life, the outsider who mingles with elites, lecturing ordinary Americans from a mansion about empathy. The man who once mocked virtue signaling now leads the parade. Stern didn't evolve, he retreated. Not for wisdom, but for acceptance. And the saddest part? He treats his past like an ex he refuses to admit existed. The rebel built the empire, the sellouts just renting the penthouse.
Well, I just saw it, actually, and it was funny. I am a huge fan of Maya Rudolph's. I think she put a lot of time into doing the piece and the character.
Okay, so I do think it's interesting. He's very scared. A lot of I hear this from a lot of my Democrat friends. They're scared of Trump winning again. They're scared of Trump.
Nothing in Stern's previous career that could withstand this modern witch hunt that he now embraces. So this is a form of restitution. Maybe he says, if I'm woke too, the crocodile will eat me last, but they always do eat. But I get it. He flipped from populist to elitist because now he's with elitists. He's living in the Hamptons. What would the Stern of now think of the Stern of before?
Megyn's tone sharpened like a blade as she tore into Stern's fear of discomfort. The show, once built to challenge people, now hides from challenge completely. He's terrified, she said, of backlash, labels, or being slightly off-trend. Then came her knockout line. Howard Stern didn't grow, he shrank. He folded into comfort, money, and validation, pretending he's still fearless behind a mic that's now fitted with a corporate filter. Greg jumped back in with a grin, saying Stern's like a comedian who lost his punchline but still won't leave the stage. Every show's a cry for relevance, he joked. Next season? Retirement radio, robes, tea, and feelings. The revolution moved on and left him behind.
Right after the Columbine massacre that the killers should have raped the students before killing them. Not that I like that Stern, but this pendulum swing from saying the most tasteless thing in the universe to putting your balls in a Tic Tac container. You got to wonder what's going on here. It's striking that the king of the most misogynistic humor ever now turns into a breathless over a progressive, hopelessly shallow candidate.
Megyn agreed, wrapping her critique in cold truth. Stern's tragedy wasn't that he evolved. It's that he traded identity for acceptance. He didn't find wisdom. He found silence. Together, Greg and Megyn dropped the verdict. Relevance has an expiration date, and Stern's might already be expired. Greg circled the legend like a vulture over fame's remains. The saddest part, he said, is he doesn't even see it. He's trapped in a soundproof booth of delusion, still thinking he's the rebel outsider, while the world sees him as establishment wallpaper. Once, he sprinted toward controversy. Now, he hides from it like a bad review. The brass knuckles are gone. It's all soft gloves and scented candles now.
This is Stern's self-imposed penance for subjugating women to demoralizing stunts, capitalizing on desperate females thirsting for attention, even if it's from an oily paddle striking their bare asses. True, much of Stern's transformation is based mainly on a delusional hatred for Trump, but it's also coming from a bottomless hatred for himself and his past.
Greg couldn't resist mocking how Stern now fills airtime with therapy talk, spiritual epiphanies, and long stories about self-growth, all ending with how misunderstood he feels. It's not even a radio show anymore, Greg laughed. It's an audiobook nobody asked for. Megyn stepped back in, cool as ice. The real tragedy, she said, is that Howard Stern once had the platform and courage to question everything, and now he questions nothing. He used to challenge the mob. Now he chases its approval. The provocateur became the preacher, the rebel-turned-rule follower. He doesn't need to apologize for growing up, she added. But pretending growth means erasing your past? That's not maturity, that's fear.
Howard's simply redefining masculinity. And why is it always the male lefties who are so desperate to get rid of masculinity entirely? It's guilt and self-preservation. Because scrape beneath the surface of any liberal male, and what do you find? A creep, terrified of his priggish past. Piggish past, I mean, not priggish. What is priggish?
Greg nodded, closing it all with his trademark sting. Howard Stern didn't just leave the building, he rebuilt it into a shrine for himself. The rebel stage is gone, replaced by mirrors. Every show now feels like a love letter to his own reflection. The man who vowed to destroy the system now polishes its trophies. That's the tragedy, Greg said. Not that he changed, but that he forgot who he was. The shock jock turned sanctuary host, the provocateur turned pleaser. The voice of rebellion now whispers from behind velvet walls. And when the king stops leading the charge and starts begging for applause, the kingdom doesn't crumble. It just stops listening. That silence, heavy, final, and deafening, is louder than anything Howard Stern could ever scream into a mic.